because he looked the part like he didn't have a job. And I knew that if he went into any business trying to get a job with his pants in the middle of his thigh, he would never get a job. I didn't know the man. I didn't know his name. I didn't know anything about him. But it was just like people who knew, looking at me with my cap on sideways, I knew he didn't know what he was doing. And I knew just from looking at the way he was attired that he was not going anywhere important. So there is a principle, just in instruction. You need to look the part. If you want to rise to the top in corporate America, you have to look like folk in corporate America. Now, I understand some cultural stuff and this, that, and the other, but you have never seen president of a major corporation coming out. You all understand what I'm talking about? I don't even have to go there, do I? So if you want to be president of a major corporation, you have to look like presidents of a major corporation look like. You have to look like the managers look. You have to look like the executives look. You have to have your hat on right. And some of us have the hat on backwards. Then he told us to swim 200 yards after I put my hat on right. And we swam the 200 yards. And I want to just tell you about 5 things that best instructor in the city told me that will apply to life in general. First, I've already told you, he said, how you look is important. Second thing he told me, just from observing my stroke, and I thought I was an excellent swimmer. He says, you are not extending your reach far enough. He said, when you swim, you keep your arms slightly bent. He said, if you reach your arm all the way out, and then when you come back, if you bring it all the way back until it goes to the complete back, he said, you will double your stroke length. You will move faster and easier through the water if you just extend your reach. Some of you all are reaching too shallow. And you need to stretch. See, you're not going anywhere, and you're not going anywhere fast because you're just reaching too shallow. And you're only going to get, and you reach sometimes what is comfortable. You don't even move your hand out far from your body. You just reach very low. And as a result, because you reach so low, you only go low. So the first principle that he gave me was reach further. You're only going to grab what you reach for. And if you reach shallow, you will grab shallow. The next thing he told me, I was used to swimming down the length of the pool, and I would turn my head to one side as I went down, and I turned my head to the other side as I came back. He said, take 3 strokes and breathe. Then take 3 more strokes and breathe on the other side. What he was saying was, catch your breath between strokes and learn to vary your routine. Some of you all just need to basically take some time to catch your breath. That's why God told you to work 6 days and rest 1. He said, stroke 6 days and then catch your breath. Some of you are working round the clock. You don't even have time to catch your breath. And when you don't take time to catch your breath, you run out of breath much faster. So it was a principle, and when I did it, everything he showed me, the minute I swam down the pool, it was a drastic difference. Now, this is the thing about it. I'm 54 years old. I learned how to swim when I was perhaps 12 years old. I've been swimming for over 40 years. And an expert was able to take me in just a few minutes, give me a few pointers, and instantly, when I went down the pool, I felt a massive difference. But you know what? I had to listen. If I'd have said, look, man, I've been swimming over 40 years. I've been swimming almost before you were born. I've been swimming over. You all have heard some people, and this is how they react when you try to tell them something. I've been doing this thing like this since you were born. I had been swimming over, and not only had I been swimming, I was doing what I thought was good swimming, but I wasn't Olympic style. So you first have to listen, and then you have to apply. Take 3 strokes and breathe. Then 3 strokes and breathe on the other side. Catch your breath. Vary your routine. People, you don't need to just do something different when you're resting. You understand what I mean? People, do something different. Try a different variation of some stuff. Some of you just got the same routine over and over and over. You don't know anything different because you've never even tried anything different. Sometimes even with my wife, when we go places, she doesn't like to vary routine much, but I do. I'm a real wild adventurer, and sometimes it's a setting on the GPS where you can just hit random. And that's what I do. I just hit random, and I said, this is where we're going. And it ended up in some of the craziest places. And sometimes when I hit that, we ended up in Ludacris's restaurant. But she really liked those Ludacris's restaurant. Next time, she asked me the next time, can we go back there again? I said, no, I'm going to hit random. But vary your routine. Do something different that's exciting, that will change up your world. 3 strokes and then breathe and then switch to the other side. Next thing he told me is this. He said, blow the air out of your nose and breathe in through your mouth. Now, I had been almost doing that, but I had never been doing that consciously. And he says sometimes what happens, if you blow the air out of your mouth and breathe, you may get water in your mouth much easier. And I had been doing that every now and then, so I then understood it. This is the general principle of your life, people. You've got to know when to talk, and you got to know when to listen. You got to know when to blow out, and you got to know when to take in. And there's a time for both. Sometimes in life, we spend all of our time running off at the mouth. And we're blowing out all of the time, and you never shut up to take in. There is a time to let it out, and there is a time to let it in. And you need to know what time it is. You basically need to know when to listen, and let me just put it real plain, and you need to know when to shut up. You need to know when to listen, and you need to know when to shut up. Next thing he told me is he taught me how to turn. I had been swimming over 40 years, and when I got to the end of the pool, I would grab the wall, turn around, and push off and go down the other end. He said, you will save time and energy if you can learn how to flip when you get to the end of the pool. And then he taught me how to flip. He said, you got to tuck your chin in until it touches your chest. You got to roll up on a real tight ball and spin over. He said, but let me warn you, when you spin over underwater, it's liable to make you dizzy. And I thought to myself, that ain't gonna make me dizzy. I flipped over under that water, and it was just something about flipping on that thing. I came up like my head was spinning like a whirly top. But after I did it a few times, the dizziness went away. The principle of that is this, people. You got to know how to turn around and go the other direction when you're going in the wrong way. If my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, you got to know how to turn around. And sometimes to turn around is dizzying. It can just throw you completely off balance. But you have got to learn in your life. There are some things, and people, there are some of you who are going in some directions, and you need to make a solid 180. When I was flying an airplane, they used to teach us that in some situations, when you see a storm up ahead, the only right thing you can do was a 180. You need to turn that plane around and go the opposite direction. Some of you got some storms up ahead in life. And there are some situations, and some of us, we just try to walk right on through the storm. When you really need to learn the art of how to turn around. There are some things that you'll be presented to you, And you just need to learn how to do a 180. You'll see the stuff. Some of you going to go to a party soon. And you may see some lines of some white powder laid out on the party, or some people smoking the funny cigarettes. You need to do a 180. You need to learn how to just turn and walk in the other direction. If my people would turn from their wicked ways, then I'll hear from heaven and heal their land. It's the value of instruction. And just those few things, just dealing with swimming. But it's a principle that if you really want to go to another level, you have to learn how to go find proper instruction in whatever you need. Then you've got to open your spirit and reduce your pride so that you can really accept what they're saying. And then you have to do it. And once you do those three things, you will start to immediately see some changes in your life. It's the value of instruction. And for those of you who were here for last week's sermon, stuff is turning around. Stuff is really turning around. And it's not just in a swimming pool. It's in our lives. God will send you some divine instructions. And when you're able to hear and to heed, it will turn your entire life and world around. We thank you for joining us today at Brothers of the Word, because, brother, you need the Word.
Hallelujah. Brothers of the Word, when the voice of God is heard. Brothers of the Word, there's a word from God for everyone. Brothers of the Word, because, brother, you need the Word. Brothers of the Word. Brothers of the Word.